Patrick, we were locked inside for about 7.5 hours as a safety precaution, and we were allowed to come back outside within the last 2 hours. And during that time, we've seen the conditions definitely pick up. There was actually a lull when we were inside for about an hour and a half, close to 2 hours, where there was no rain, no wind. If you looked outside, it would look like a typical night. You would probably, if you didn't know that we were in a hurricane, you would not know that the hurricane was around us. We are in the midst of one. But now you can see how conditions have definitely picked up again around here. It's nowhere near what we're going to see because obviously Irma is out of our area, but we are still experiencing tropical storm type of conditions. As Trevor said, we're seeing gusts of wind come in and out, and the bands of rain where it's kind of like how it is now, and then it'll pick up again. I was in the car in between shots. I try to stay warm. I was in the car and it was swaying back and forth. I didn't get too nervous because I know the worst of it is gone. But this reminds me of what it felt like when we were out here yesterday. My days are starting to run together. Sorry, I've been up for like 14 hours now. But before Irma came through, this is what it felt like. The tropical storm winds, those gusts of 40-mile-per-hour winds that kind of, it pushes you over a little bit. I definitely have to keep my feet planted so that I don't sway too much. You'll probably notice it as I'm speaking to you, how it comes in waves. You see this gust of wind right now. I kind of have to hold myself. Our photographer is holding on to the camera to make sure it doesn't move so much. And that is why it's so important that you guys do not get on the roads right now. Conditions are not safe. We're not in the clear just yet. Irma is still in our midst. As you see now, as the wind and the rain is picking up now, you don't want to be on the roads. In fact, we almost made the mistake of trying to go out on the roads right now. Thank God, I'm happy that we did not and we chose to stay put. In fact, if we did go out, we would have been breaking a curfew, and that's the reason why we didn't leave. I do want to remind you guys again, the curfew is in place until 7 a.m. and if you're caught on the roads, it's a misdemeanor. So you don't want to deal with that. You don't want to have to deal with that headache. Just stay home. You have plenty of time to survey the damage that may have been done to your home. It's not worth it right now. Your homes can be rebuilt. You can't rebuild your lives. So just stay indoors. If you need to be out on the roads, there's no need. There's no business. There are no businesses that are open right now. Conditions on the roads, we don't know what they are. In fact, emergency personnel aren't even going outside because they're concerned about how dangerous it could be on the roads. And these are trained professionals. So if they're not willing to risk their lives on the roads out to right now, you should not be going outside right now. You should not be leaving your house right now because we still have that concern of storm surge that we're expecting to see in the coming hours, in the early morning hours of Monday. We got a briefing around 8 o'clock where emergency officials told us that we're going to see high tide around 6 a.m. and it's after that the storm surge will start to come in inland. I'm concerned. I've been thinking about this guy ever since I spoke to him yesterday. It's a man who rode out the storm on his boat in the city of Fort Myers Yacht Basin. I've not stopped thinking about him because of the storm surge. And when I spoke to him about that concern, he didn't seem bothered by it because he believed that his boat could float over a storm surge. The fact is that when that water comes in, it rushes in so quickly, it's the force of it alone is deadly. And that's why they're saying, we're not completely in the clear just yet. Irma is north of us, but we are still feeling the impacts of this storm because of just how massive this system is. You see, as I'm speaking to you, it comes in waves, like I was saying. You see the gust of wind, and the rain will pick up a little bit, and then it'll die down a little bit. You don't want to be on the roads in this condition. There's no need to be on the roads in these conditions. Emergency officials are urging people, if you don't have a critical need, don't call 911. Unfortunately, they're getting too many phone calls with non-critical issues. They're non-emergency issues with people that just have questions. That's getting in the way of people who actually are in need of assistance. Unfortunately, even if you are in need of help, no one can get to you right now because, as I was saying earlier, the conditions on the roads is just unknown, and EMS is waiting to see once daylight breaks, they'll be able to survey the damage and see just how bad the conditions are. And they have the equipment. They have big trucks. They can get through, high levels of water. Your vehicle may not, and it's not worth you trying to do so. So they're saying they may not be able to get to people as soon as some may have expected, because they do have to survey the damage and the conditions of the roads. The first thing they're going to be doing is clearing out the roads to hospitals, fire stations, any type of emergency operations. They want to make sure that they can help people. They want to make sure they can get in and out of hospitals quickly. Another thing they're going to be doing first thing in the morning is checking on the integrity of our bridges. That's important because we are connected. We are pretty much separated by so many different bodies of water in our area, and that's why people love living in Southwest Florida. But our bridges are important for us to stay connected, Fort Myers to Cape Coral and all over. And that's what they're going to be doing tomorrow, making sure that the bridges are safe so that they can get to and from, and also you can get to and from safely once it's okay to drive on the roads. Again, I've said this already, but I do want to reiterate, there is a curfew in place for people in Lee County. It went in place at 8 p.m. today. It's in effect until 7 a.m. We're told that that curfew will be in place now until officials lift it. So you can expect again tomorrow night that a curfew will be enacted at 8 p.m. through 7 a.m. If you're caught out on the roads, it's a misdemeanor. So just stay inside. The main concern right now is with storm surge. It's not going to be as bad as we previously expected, what emergency officials thought was going to happen. They thought that we might see 10 to 15 feet of storm surge in coastal areas. Right now it seems as though it might be less than that, but it's still unclear exactly what it will be like. We don't know how high it's going to be. Nature is unpredictable, as we see with Irma's path. We didn't even think we were going to be in a direct hit, and last minute the track changed, and everyone geared up and went into emergency mode, and that's good. All day today, emergency officials, county officials were saying how they're just happy that people heeded their warnings to evacuate. There are over 22,000 people in shelters as of yesterday. So they're happy that people did do everything that they could do once we realized that it was going to be critical for our area, but we're still not in the clear yet. So if you can do so, stay put wherever you are. If you do need help, if you're in a dire situation, I spoke to one of the people working with United Way. They're helping kind of take some of the 911 calls that are not as serious so that they can clear up some of that traffic, so that emergency officials can talk to people who are in dire need of assistance. Now they're saying if you're worried about not having power, don't call 911. Patrick has said this several times during our broadcast, there are over 3 million people across the state, 350,000 here in our area that are without power. You're not alone. Don't call 911 if your only problem right now is the fact that you are without electricity. They only want you to call if you're in dire need of help. Unfortunately, no one will be able to get to you now, but they will put you as a priority once they do send EMS out onto the streets. And don't wait until the last minute to call for help. If you find yourself in a situation where you see as though it could get critical soon, call as soon as you can. Again, the big concern is going to be the storm surge. If you're living in the coastal area, if you're in evacuation zone A, if you are in evacuation zone B, this is still a concern for you guys. Please be careful. Listen to what we're saying with the warnings. Pay attention. I saw a video that someone posted from Fort Myers Beach, and it looks as though the beach is gone. All that water is going to come back, and when it rushes back in, that is the concern. You may not even have time to react, and so people are able to walk along the beach there, where there would typically be about 3 feet of water. That water is going to come back, and that is the concern right now. So, guys, we're not in the clear just yet. Fortunately, Irma was not as strong as as we anticipated, but there's still a lot of damage across our area, especially in Collier County. We're keeping all of those people, all of those families in our prayers, guys, because we're not through this just yet. So we're going to stay out here. We're trying to keep you all updated with as quickly as we can. Again, the emergency officials here won't have an update for us until tomorrow morning because they are going to have their meeting at 7 a.m., I believe. It's either 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. And after that, they will brief us on what their plans are. Right now, they're going into their response mode. They're going to be going out, checking out the roads, getting to the people that have called them already today in dire need of assistance. We were told around 8 o'clock tonight that they have about 40 people on hold. That's 40 people who called 911 for help, but they weren't able to get to them. And they warned many people before Irma came our way that if you were in a mandatory evacuation zone and you chose to stay, unfortunately, you will be on your own for a few days until they can get to you, because those areas may be more critical. It may be more difficult to get through those roads. And so that's why it was so important for people in low-lying areas. If you're in a flood zone, if you're living in one of the barrier islands, it was important for you to evacuate. But we haven't been hearing, I haven't, excuse me. I'm not sure if you guys have been able to get in contact with anyone, let's say anyone in Pine Island or someone that was in evacuation zone A. The last family I've been speaking to that decided to stay on Pine Island, the last they told me was that they were safe, but they did get a little wet. I'm not sure what that means. When I spoke to them, I know that they did put up shutters on their home, but they're saying that they're a little wet. So to me, that means that water entered their home and they're starting to see some flooding. So guys, this is still a serious situation. We're still in a hurricane. So we have to still keep that mindset. Stay in emergency mode. You see that gust of wind, I have to keep my feet planted. And that's why it's not safe to be on the roads right now. Even if you're in an area where there seems to be calm, where it's not raining, you don't want to go outside, because that was the case here just 2 hours ago. It was clear. I thought we were okay. And in fact, we were inside just wondering why they couldn't unlock the doors, because we thought we were fine to go outside, that it would be safe. But as you can see, conditions change quickly because we are still in this storm. So stay with us. We're going to continue to update you with information as quickly as we get it. I'll relay it back to you. But for now, I'm going to toss it back to you guys. We're live in Fort Myers. Deborah Souverain, Fox 4, in your corner.
Deborah, it's meteorologist Trevor Adams. If you can still hear me, I do want to ask you one quick question. We've been talking about the fact that people have been, anxious to get back outside. Lots of questions coming in on Facebook and social media about, is it safe to go outside yet? And we've been saying no. I just want people to hear from your perspective. What does it feel like to have to be outside right now?
Honestly, it's not fun. I'm doing this because it's important to me, especially, to get this information out to everyone. Just yesterday, when I saw people getting turned away from the shelter, it hurt. It's because you see families. I saw people with their dogs, and they're being turned away because the shelters were full. So it's not something that you want to be in. Luckily for us, we're fortunate enough to be in one of the safest buildings in Lee County. I am fully decked out in rain gear, so I'm not getting wet, but it's cold out here. The wind is blowing. It's not something that you want to experience, honestly, and that's why we're doing it, so that you don't have to. So just kind of take heed to what we're saying. But Trevor, it's not a fun experience.
Right. And that's the point that I think I really wanted people to hear, is that you actually have some permission to be outside because it's your job to bring us the information. And we're really thankful that you're able to do that for us, Deborah. But it does